Title: TikTok in the US. Ban, divest, or something in between. Subhead: a clear explainer on the 2024 law, the court fight, and what it means for creators, brands, and users. Last updated. Update this date before publishing summary. A 2024 U.S. law requires ByteDance to divest TikTok's U.S. operations within a set deadline, about 9 months, with a possible 3-month extension. Or the app can be removed from U.S. app stores and hosting services. TikTok and ByteDance have sued the U.S. government, arguing the law violates the First Amendment and due process. The government cites national security concerns, potential access to U.S. user data, and possible influence over the recommendation algorithm by a foreign adversary. The outcome depends on the courts. Timelines may shift based on injunctions, appeals, or potential Supreme Court review. For creators and brands, the smart move is platform diversification and audience ownership now. Background: what the 2024 law says. In April 2024, a federal law was enacted targeting foreign adversary-controlled applications. The law effectively gives the owner of TikTok, ByteDance, a deadline to divest its U.S. TikTok business or risk removal from U.S. app stores and hosting infrastructure. Practically, this means if divestiture doesn't happen by the deadline, which can be extended for a limited period, app stores would be directed to delist TikTok in the US, and hosting providers could be barred from supporting it. Key elements to understand: divestiture. ByteDance would need to sell or structurally separate TikTok's US operations to an entity acceptable under the law. Enforcement. Non-compliance could lead to platform removal from app stores in the US and restrictions on hosting/services. Timeline. The statute sets an initial window of roughly 9 months, with the possibility of an additional extension, often referenced as up to 3 months, at the discretion of the executive branch. TikTok/ByteDance legal challenge. TikTok and ByteDance have filed suit challenging the law. Their core arguments include: First Amendment. Restricting TikTok at scale burdens the speech of more than 170 million US users and millions of creators. They argue the government has not pursued less restrictive alternatives. Due process. They contend the law singles out a specific platform without adequate procedural protections or individualized findings. Technical feasibility. They also point to the complexity of separating algorithms, code, and data flows, arguing that forced divestiture may be unworkable without degrading the product. The U.S. government's position: the government frames the issue as national security. Data access. Under foreign laws, a parent company could be compelled to share data or technical access. U.S. officials argue this creates risk for Americans' personal information. Algorithmic influence. Beyond data, the recommendation engine could theoretically be steered for propaganda or influence operations, especially during sensitive periods like elections. Mitigation skepticism. Proposals like data localization or third-party hosting have not fully alleviated concerns, according to government filings and statements. What happens next? The next steps are legal. The timeline may include requests for preliminary or permanent relief in court, injunctions, a decision by a federal appellate court, and potentially review by the Supreme Court. Outcomes could range from A. the law being upheld, B. parts of it being narrowed, C. the law being blocked, or D. a negotiated solution or extended timeline. Because this is active litigation, any target date can shift. Always verify the latest hearing dates and rulings from court dockets or reliable outlets before publishing. Why it matters? Creators, brands, users, creators. If App Store access is restricted, existing installs may keep working for a time, but updates could stop and reach may shrink. Diversify now, cross-post to YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels, build an email list or SMS list, and keep your content backed up. Brands/advertisers. Test and shift budgets across platforms. Monitor CPM/CPA volatility. Prepare creative variations for Shorts/Reels. Keep first-party data strategies strong. Users. If restrictions take effect, some features may degrade over time. Alternative short-form platforms remain available, but creator networks and communities will take time to rebuild. Key terms: divestiture. A forced sale or structural separation of U.S. operations to an approved owner. App Store removal versus total ban. The law targets distribution and hosting in the US, which can effectively make an app unavailable even if existing installs persist temporarily. Algorithm transfer. Transferring core recommendation technology can be constrained by export controls and intellectual property rules, complicating any sale. What to watch: court rulings, injunctions, merits decisions, and any Supreme Court certiorari. Negotiations. Signs of potential buyers or structural solutions that comply with the law. Election/calendar effects. Political timelines can influence urgency, messaging, and oversight. How to stay updated. Reliable sources. Congress.gov. For the text and summaries of the 2024 law. U.S. court dockets. D.C. Circuit 4 filings in the TikTok/ByteDance case. Reuters, AP, BBC, NPR, 4Fast, verified reporting and legal updates. Company statements. TikTok's newsroom and official U.S. government press releases. Bottom line, the question isn't only ban or not. The law sets up a divest order list framework, and the courts will decide whether that framework stands. For creators and brands, the playbook is clear. Diversify platforms, own your audience, and keep publishing while the legal process plays out. Disclaimer: this report is for informational purposes only and is not legal advice. Verify the latest court dates and filings before publishing.